brings a conservative point of view to black issues. His mission: to provide a forum for honest discussions about social issues without the liberal lapdogs shutting down the discussion. Broadcasting from the American Truth Project Studios in beautiful Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. This is Conservative Nation with your host, Jermaine Buxio.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Conservative Nation with me, your gracious host, Jermaine Buxio. How is everybody doing on this beautiful Wednesday evening? It's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you do share. We got a lot to discuss tonight. Absolutely. Yep. Shout out to Andrea Timmers, Matthew Steinacker, my guy Chris Paulin, brother from another mother, Yvonne Garrison in the building. Shout out to y'all. Brian Hendricks. Absolutely. Hit that like button. Make sure you do share. All right. We got a lot to discuss. And let me tell you something. A lot of people are hollering across our nation. Liberal women, whole bunch of them hollering right now, right? Even the ones on the quote unquote conservative side. Yeah, some of them are hollering too. You think I'm playing? Some of them are hollering too. Yeah, they're conservative when it comes to certain things, right? The pretend ones. Absolutely, they're hollering. And they're hollering how much they hate old white men. So I want you men out there to understand, if the men out there were quote unquote black, purple, whatever color the man is, they would hate those men. So I want people to understand, when you hear them say, I want to kill my child, I want abortion, right? I want to get rid of my parental responsibilities. Whoops, I wasn't supposed to say that, right? When they're saying all these things, what it really means is that I hate men, I hate God. You can see, ladies and gentlemen, the Lilith coming out. And if you know the story about Lilith, you know she's an evil B.I. You know it. You certainly do. So I'm ready to flame. I'm ready to flame. Hopefully you guys are too. Make sure you guys do your due diligence. I need your help. I certainly do. You can see how crazy things are right now. The liberal elite, the establishment, wants to put out a governance board for information now. You can see a lot of these platforms clamping down while hollering free speech. So I'm going to need your help. I'm certainly do. Need you to hit that like button. I need you to share two big things that everybody can do. Let me tell you. And last but not least, donate. Help keep shows like this around. Absolutely. I want to thank everybody who's been donating. Without further ado, let's get rocking. First one up. I want to go ahead and speak to you guys about quote unquote trans rights. There's a clip going around that is pissing off a lot of folks and it deals with our health secretary. You guys know our health secretary, right? Yeah, the transgender one. Yeah, Rachel Levine. You guys remember that? I think this person got Woman of the Year. If I'm not mistaken, Woman of the Year. Yeah, I swear I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. No, I'm not. This person got Woman of the Year. Well, let me tell you something. The health secretary is in Texas right now, shaming the politicians and shaming the doctors. What the health secretary is saying is that they are politically going after LGBTQ folks. And they're saying that they are twisting the science. I want you guys to understand. Dr. Rachel Levine, who is a transgender, is mad that folks are following what we call common sense and reality, and is trying to make the argument somehow that it's something being twisted. I want you guys to take a look at this. When it comes back, we shall speak about it. Make sure you guys do share. Here we go.
So I think that this has been, the word I used when I spoke with the families is that it's a very insidious way to address this issue. It is turning the Child Protective Agency, which is supposed to protect children and families, to attack children and families for political purposes. Mm-hmm. So I would call that insidious. Mm-hmm. And I think that they should contact, the federal government. So for example, in terms of access to gender affirming care, our Office of Civil Rights is on the phone and ready to take cases. Mm-hmm. I know our Office of Children and Families, where Children and Youth Services often have their associations with the federal government. Mm-hmm. They have said that they do not feel that child protection agencies have the right to take these actions, but in the end, it'll go to the courts. Right. But right now, they are scared. Those children and those families are scared. I have no. All I can say is that we support them, that the President, the Vice President, Secretary of Health and Human Services, Secretary of Education, myself, mm-hmm. we see them and we support them, and we'll do everything we can to help them. But it's a very scary time for a family with a trans or gender diverse youth in Texas. Mm-hmm. It's a very scary time. When the government, who's supposed to support people to support and affirm and empower youth and families and protect them, mm-hmm. are attacking them. And so I felt that this is the time that I personally need to stand up and to serve as a catalyst to others to highlight the challenges posed by these actions and laws, and to make a statement to catalyze further change. And so we saw that there was this conference in Texas, and I was speaking, I was going to be speaking remotely, mm-hmm. and the decision was this would be a perfect place to start that movement, mm-hmm. and I'm here. If you meet these kids and their families, if you sit down with them and talk with them, that it would give you a different perspective. And not just the children, the adults as well, is that if you sit with LGBTQI plus people. And
I'm going to stop it right here. So you guys hear the nonsense of what's going on, right? And let me go ahead here and give a shout out to the beautiful Karen Jones. Karen Jones took our challenge. Shout out to Karen Jones. Let me go ahead and give you the customers. Took our $10 challenge on PayPal. Shout out to you. so much, man. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you do share. Make sure you do share. Dr. Rachel Levine, out of control. Would you ever imagine in your life to be spoke to and spoke down to by somebody like this? Let me transition. By somebody like this, who quote unquote won Woman of the Year. Man, that still is shocking. Right? And they're telling you that the signs that you always knew, right? The signs that me and you always knew is wrong. Right? A man is not a man, a woman is not a woman. Right? If you got nuts in a schlong, that don't mean that you're a man. Somehow, ladies and gentlemen, people like me and you out there have perverted the science. I want people to understand that, right? Me and you, we have perverted the science for political purposes to attack LGBTQ people. This person is wild. They are wild. They're wild. This is when you're living in fantasy land. This is what happens when you have a population of people who think through emotion. This is what happens. You start making dumb decisions like this to the point where you have somebody who's confused, and I don't care who you are. You are confused if you're behaving in this manner. I had an argument with a person who got mad at me for roasting Caitlyn Jenner and Fox News and Sean Hannity, who gives credence to the same thing. I'm not going to play that game. I'm not going to live in La La Land. And I don't care if, quote unquote, that's supposed to be the norm. I don't care what Satan and his people out there are telling you what to say. At some point, you're going to have to come back to reality. That is it. Let's go ahead and do one of our famous polls. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Is this normal? Is it normal? Is it normal? A guy who grew out his hair, probably got extensions, looking ugly and ridiculous, wearing a gosh darn what is this a suit skirt with some dumbass glasses on, pretending to be a woman. Is this, ladies and gentlemen, is this normal? Is this picture right here normal? I just use common sense here. Nobody's here to judge ya. Right? Nobody's here to judge you. We're not like the liberals. Right? I could give a rat's ass about it. Very simple. 1 for yes, 2 for no. And look at the 2s through the roof. That's why we do these simple questions. Is it normal or abnormal? And you can see, ladies and gentlemen, it's not normal at all. It's not. Even children know this. You could play this game with a child, and a child will be able to tell you what's normal and what's not. Only in a Luciferian mind, only in a mind that hates God, that hates man and woman, where they can believe in this nonsense. I'm just letting you know. It gets to the point where it's ridiculous. It really is. And there's so many folks out there who've had it. They don't care about the consequences, they let it fly and rip. They could give a F about any LGBTQ folks. One of them being, and make sure you hit that like button, make sure you do share. One of them being Dave Chappelle. Oh, yeah. Nice segue, huh? Dave Chappelle. He's been very vocal about how crazy the LGBTQ community is. Yeah, to the point where they tried to get him off Netflix, and it was unsuccessful. The LGBTQ workers there tried to stage a walkout. And you know what happened? They walked their ass right out of their job. Fired. People are tired of the woke shit. People are tired of placating to fantasy. Do you understand? It gets to a point where you either shut up, put up, or you make a stand. And a lot of folks right now are making a stand, let me tell you. They are tired of this woke shit. They certainly are. I want to go ahead here and show you guys this video. Comes from TMZ. And it deals with Dave Chappelle. He was recently, and this was as of yesterday, tackled and slammed on stage by what they're calling a man with a gun. Yeah. A lot of people are talking about it. I want you guys to take a look at this video here when it come back. I want to speak to you guys about it. Because one thing I've been saying for a while is that if you don't stand up for what's good, these evil folks will bully you to the point where you can't stand up at all. And we're at the point where folks can't even stand up at all. But you're seeing people make that stand. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you do share. Here we go. Need your help.
Behind me on the DJ table is one of the most prolific producers that hip-hop has ever presented, the mighty Mad Lib. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for hip-hop history. I am going to kill that. Wait, I gotta see this.
So I'm going to stop it right here. I'm going to stop it right here so you can see. And actually, let me speed it up to the end right here. Let me speed it up to the end. Hold on.
Where did that come from? Thank you, son. It was a trans man.
It was a trans man. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you guys think about this here? So, Dave Chappelle he was attacked by, quote unquote, a man with a gun. I want to go ahead and transition and show you guys the picture of the guy. I just want you guys to just take a quick glance here. Let me go ahead and transition. This is the assailant right here. Looking absolutely crazy. Looking crazy. I can understand why you said it. It's probably a trans man. Look at fingernails painted. Looking crazy and ridiculous. This is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when you take a pill called getting your ass whooped. When you take that pill, you look like this. It looked like he got a couple lumps on top of his head. His eyes are swollen shut. Ladies and gentlemen, he looked bad. He looked bad. Let me tell you. And that's what you're supposed to pay your security for. You pay your security to whoop some ass like this. That's what you pay security for. This guy, we don't know what he was going to do. He was armed. Probably wanted to kill Dave Chappelle because of all the LGBTQ jokes that they don't like. This is what's happening in our world because of emotion. Folks out there don't know what free speech is, especially the young crowd. They don't know. They believe if you say something and it hurts their feelings, you need to be shut down. That's female thinking. It's the same thing that I always hear when women tell folks, hey, I got out of a relationship. He was emotionally abusive. Emotionally abusive means he's saying things that I don't want to hear and he won't stop. That's what emotionally abusive is, and it's a word that comes from the feminazis. Anything to shut down, let me tell you, a conversation, and this is what these folks do. You can't have a conversation with them because they get so emotionally flustered. Oh, I can't believe you said that. Ah, can't talk about. Oh my God. Ah, you said that. Ah, I can't have it. No. You know how you see some of those women when you're saying something and it is something they don't want to talk about, all of a sudden, they throw up their, oh my God, I can't do it. No, I can't. We can't talk about it right now. We can't. That's somebody who needs to get emotionally in check. And this is our crowd. This is our population right now. The younger generation, they think like this. And they learned it from their mama. Sorry. It's the same thing when I put out that picture of Stacey Abrams. Big old hippo legs. You can't even be honest. Somebody said, Jermaine, I can't believe you said that. Oh, Jermaine, that's body shaming, Jermaine. I can't believe you said that, right? And then these people who are telling me that I'm body shaming have no conscience and no reason when they doing it to somebody else. We get to a point where people get so emotional you don't want to even be around them. We have to bring daddy and logic back. We have to. I want folks to understand we have to. Since we shifted in what we call culture and family in this country to female first, we have these problems. We're not able to be honest. People are too emotional. And it sucks for everybody around. You go and ask folks out there, all they're talking about is how people are so emotional. You think I'm playing? Why do you think they're talking like this? Because the generation has grown up like that through mama. And we have to start recognizing these things here. Now, I want to go ahead and move forward. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you do share. I want to go ahead and give somebody a shout out here real quick as well. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Melinda Peace. Donated, took our $5 challenge on Cash App. Shout out to you. Absolutely. Says, love ya. Shout out to you, sweetheart. Make sure you do share, ladies and gentlemen. I need your help. I certainly do. These things that we bring up on this show is very important because it gives you insight to the reasons why these things are happening, right? We speak more about psychology of the female mindset, and the reason why we do is because the children have that same mindset. Women know what I'm talking about out there. Right? You certainly do. The emotion is way too much. We need a little more logic. People need to be criticized in the world. I want you to understand. You cannot live a world without somebody not talking bad about you. You cannot live in a world where you think that nobody won't be able to say something to you that you don't like. If you think like that, let me tell you, you're sorely mistaken. Everybody has to get over it. And usually, by the time you're an adult, people talk about body, all that stuff don't affect you if you're raised correctly. But if you're not raised correctly, these things are still going to linger with you. Worrying about dumb things. Wasting your brain power on dumb things. You know what else is very dumb? The liberal women across America who are trying to abscond from their personal responsibility while trying to hold men to some sort of responsibility. People are going after the Republicans and quote unquote, old white men who they say are trying to, I'm not going to use that line. Well, let me go ahead and use it. Trying to put their hands on their vagina. Shout out to Mika Brzezinski. Let me go ahead and run this when it comes back. I want to speak about this here. Old white men. Keep your hands off their vagina. Here we go. Make sure you share.
Should be prosecuted and should go to jail for a very long time. Whoever did this leak should be prosecuted and should go to jail for a very long time.
I don't know who did it. I hope we find out, because the person or persons who did it really struck a blow against the rule of law.
You spent decades trying to remake the court, overturn Roe. You're possibly single-handedly responsible for the 6-3 majority. So do you take personal credit for abortion rights likely to go away for millions of people in this country?
Yeah, I think the story today is an effort by someone on the inside to discredit the institution of the Senate.
Democrats say that the prospect of Roe being overturned and some of the more restrictive trigger laws coming into effect without exemptions for rape and incest will shock the public and motivate voters in November. What is your response to that? How does this change the midterms?
Well, that's not the story for today. The story for the day is what I just said.
If Roe is struck down, do you see a need for federal abortion restriction legislation in Congress?
Look, all of this puts the cart before the horse. We have 3 Supreme Court clerks in my conference. They all explain the procedure. And our entire conversation today was about what I've just been talking to you about. And you need, it seems to me, excuse the lecture, to concentrate on what the news is today. Not a leaked draft, but the fact that the draft was leaked.
So I'm sorry, the old white guys, Mitch is going to tell us what the story of the day is. He's going to tell us what the story of the day is.
But I need to stop it right there. Men out there, I want the men to understand this is the main reason why you have to tell the truth around women. You just have to. You have to get over the loud mouth. You have to get over the emotion, right? You see how easy I'm able to talk and speak like this? Yeah, there's women out there who hate me. They absolutely do. Because I'm this blunt and I'm this honest, right? I'm not trying to get in their pants. Yeah, I could give a rip about their vagina. Probably stink anyway. Yeah. You see how bad my mouth is? I don't play. You have to be honest with them because the women have no problem being honest with you. By saying these type of things. Imagine if a white man or a man period says something like this. You know, we're going to listen to old women tell us how to spend our money on our children and go to court? Let me tell you, it'll be a national, women will have a national outrage. I want the men to understand these women have a disdain for you. They don't like you. They don't like God. This is the main reason they act and behave this way. And this is supposed to be her husband. Joe Scarborough, who is another beta male. Your wife is speaking like this. Sir, you're a male as well. Aren't you? Holy gosh darn smokes. I want folks to understand. It's crazy.
Was leaked.
So I'm sorry, the old white guys, Mitch is going to tell us what the story of the day is. He's going to tell us what the story of the day is. That's rich, Mitch. You're going to tell us about the rights, the 50 years of rights, the decades of precedent that has just been spit on and thrown away in this draft opinion. Might be tweaked a little bit, but the bottom line is this is setting women back in so many different ways with so many different consequences, and you're going to tell us that the story is the leak. Really? The leak is fascinating. It's historic. It's never happened before, and whoever did it, it's interesting because I think we're going to find out who did it. I think some people already know who did it. And I think a lot of people are already alluding to who did it. And it's not who you think, Mitch. But even if it is, That's not the story we care about, okay? The story that women across America and the
what
men
are they
who
saying?
love them, or the men who might like sex, care about, is our fundamental right to abortion.
Bow. The men who like sex care about. I want you men to understand something. You see how callously she said that? She's letting you know how she thinks about you and how most of these type of women think about you. You have no brain. You have no morals. This is how these women think about you. Right? You stick your willy wherever hole you can see it. This is the way she's speaking about you. Right? You use these type of women as a quote unquote cum dumpster. And she's able to go have an abortion. What kind of callous type of situation and relationship is this? I want folks to understand this is what she's portraying. There's no morality behind this at all. None. There's not even a say-so for the man who's involved. These women are evil to the core. I want you to understand it. Evil to the core. Evil.
Draft opinion overturns. And that's the story. Just to give you a sense of news judgment and what people care about, that's what they care about.
Yeah, the women care about killing their children and letting men know how much they hate you. All right? I want the men to understand they hate you so much. They really do. That's why they have no qualms, no problems at all running off with your child to daddy government. I want the men to understand that. They have no qualms about it. That's why I'm very honest about it, and a lot of the women don't like me. That's I could care less. Yeah, at some point in time, you have to stand up against the culture. You have to be honest. You have to. And it seems like the men who are like myself, we get called an asshole, insensitive, bigot, sexist, whatever, name that is around they want to sling because, their emotion don't trump the logic. We need men to stand up because it's not in most women. Sorry. I'm just a very honest guy. It's not in most women to stand up. We're talking about abortion. You see liberal women across America, and most women out there are liberal. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. They want their child gone. They want that option. But they don't want to have the men have that option. Let alone, you will find most of these women here killing their children all willy-nilly. I want folks to go out there and start speaking about this. You will start seeing how women will be angry and mad. I make no mistake about this. Not the people you know, right? Because you tend to hang out with folks who are like yourself. You go out and have a conversation with a random woman, and you will see. I make no qualms about that. Go ahead and do it, and you shall see. She wants access to that. There's a national organization of women marching to kill their children with pink pussy hats. And I posed this question, was about a year and a half ago. And I asked very simply, because I was challenged back then. I don't get many challenges nowadays. About the support of women who want abortion versus the ones who don't. There was a lot of people who think that most women don't want abortion. And then I told them to go research the numbers. They came back and told me the numbers were skewed. I said, okay, well, why don't we look at the marches, the grand support for, pro-choice versus, pro-abortion. The last rally they had for a quote unquote, save the kid rally, save the unborn lives rally, it was 300,000. And that's a high estimate. The National Organization of Women, the Pink Pussy Hats, they marched with 1.4 million. Don't believe me? Go look it up. And come back to me and apologize. So we have a issue here. That's why when it comes to this issue, men have to stand up, because it's the men who will save the babies. Most women are for abortion. Most women, and I want the men to understand, want the choice because they believe it gives them more freedom and autonomy from you. Do you understand? They don't want to have to sit there and speak to you and compromise when it comes to if they are going to keep the child or not. They don't want to have that. And I want the gentlemen to understand that. Women, most of them want control. It's in their DNA. Go ahead and ask a lot of married men out there. They'll tell you. Yeah. So you have to men have to stand up. You have to recognize that what's going on is evil. You have to also recognize that most women are led through emotion. It's how they are wired, right? It's just like, a snake character, right? Snakes will bite. Women are emotional. That they're going to act and behave in a certain way. They're going to think a certain way. Don't fault them for it. Act in a manner that is conducive for it. That's it. Right? You don't have to sit there and try to change it. Women are going to be women. You have to, this is for the men out there. You have to act and behave in a manner that is conducive for it. You have to be strong. You have to. Because the children's lives depend on it. So I will say this from here to Pakistan. If somehow your little heart out there, I know it's fluttering on a stick. Oh, Jermaine, I don't believe it. Go and do the gosh darn research and come back to me. That's it. Because without the intervention of men in this country, children will be killed and slaughtered from here to Pakistan. I'm letting the folks know. Right? 300,000 march for unborn lives versus 1.2 million. Right? There's something going on there. Right? If you guys were thinking about rallies, right? And I'll end it like this. You're thinking about a Trump rally versus a Biden rally. Biden only had 300,000. Trump had 1.2 million. You wouldn't be sitting there blinking your eyes and saying you don't believe. Right? You wouldn't. You'll say, well, I think that Trump got more support. That's what you'll be saying. Your eyes will be fluttering like that. Right? You would be able to make that distinction very easy. So I want folks to use common sense. That is it. That is it. I want to go ahead and move forward. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Robert Marvin, who took our $10 challenge on PayPal. Challenges 5 others. Says, brother from another mother. But I'm white. Shout out to you. Shout out to the big man, Robert Marvin. Make sure you guys share. Make sure you do share. Next one up. I want to go ahead here. Let me pull this up. I want to show you guys what Kamala Harris is saying. Kamala Harris reacted yesterday to the leaked Roe v. Wade draft. And let me tell you something. She wasn't happy at all. You know, Satan's children, they're never happy. They're not. You know, take a look at what she's saying here. Make sure you guys share.
Draft of a Supreme Court opinion while attending a gala hosted by pro-abortion rights group Emily's List. Here are her full remarks.
Roe v. Wade, in its power, has protected a woman's right, her right to make decisions about her own body for nearly half a century. If the court overturns
Look at knee
Roe v.
pads
Wade,
Harris.
it will be a direct assault on freedom, on the fundamental right of self-determination to which all Americans are entitled. Roe protects the right to access abortion. It also protects a woman's right to make decisions about what she does with her own body. So to the friends, I say, we've always been clear, but today, we know our purpose. We know also what we are up against. We have been on the front lines of this fight for many years.
Yep, killing the children.
All of us in this together.
Look at her.
And now we enter a new phase. There is nothing hypothetical about this moment. Let me be clear. This fight requires the work of this very organization, Emily's List, to elect pro-choice Democrats to Congress.
Look at her.
Now, at this very moment, Roe v. Wade remains the law of the land. But let's talk about what a world without Roe looks like.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Women in almost half the country could see their access to abortion severely limited.
Absolutely. I think that's fine. I think that's fine. You know, men don't get the option to abscond from their parental obligations like that. They're held responsible by the government called child support, even if they don't pay or not, ladies, right? Yeah. I have to throw that in for the idiots out there. Even though he doesn't pay or not, he's still held responsible. I want the women to understand that. This is how low the government think about you going forward.
13 of those states, women would lose access to abortion immediately and outright.
I think that's fine. I think that's fine. I don't see any problem with that going forward.
Those Republican leaders who are trying to weaponize the use of the law against women, will we say
weaponize the law against women? Republicans need to use common sense in what we call good rhetoric. This has nothing to do with what she says. It's about being responsible, and it's about what we call human rights. Women are sending unborn children into slavery. I want the women to understand you're enslaving yourself to kill the child. The child is not yours.
How dare they? How dare they tell a woman what she can do and cannot do with her own body?
There you go. I want you that this is the main reason why there needs to be a campaign against liberal women. How can you ever have a relationship with a woman who thinks like this? This is out of control. Look at her face.
From determining her own future. How dare they?
Determining your own future. How dare they require a woman to use common sense and what we call responsibility? How dare they ask women to have a conscience? Yeah. How dare they ask a woman to have a conscience? How dare they ask a woman to be gosh darn moral and stop thinking about herself for a change, right? How dare they? Right? Well, what about the baby? What about the baby? And get this. If a man pushes a pregnant woman down and kills the baby in her stomach, he's charged with murder. If a woman goes and has an abortion, she's not charged with murder. All on the thought process is if I want it or not. I want people to understand how evil that is. Think about it. If the woman wants the baby and something happens to the baby, gosh darn it, that's a travesty. But if a woman doesn't want the baby and she gets rid of the baby, that's fine. Where's the logic there? I want people to understand. How can you charge somebody with murder of an unborn baby when you don't charge the mother and the doctor for killing the baby? How does that work? I want the women to understand. This is the main reason why they want to shut down free speech. Because it brings people back to reality. I want folks to, how does that even work? I don't know. I don't know how you can pass off that logic and think that somebody will go along with it. Well, I do. If you shout them down and you use rhetoric like this, yeah.
Try to deny women their rights and their freedoms. You know, 3 years ago, when I was a United States Senator, I asked a question. Can you think of any laws that give the government power to make decisions about the male body? And the response, you'll recall, was essentially, can't think of any.
You see how evil this is? We are talking about the unborn child, and they shifted this to the woman's body. And I want the men to understand something here. The reason why they're focused on women and their body, because they know that most women are selfish and they can't think beyond themselves. I don't care who get mad. I don't. I'm not going to play with anybody. They can't think beyond themselves. If you watch, Kevin Samuels does a fantastic job exposing how women think, and and them being cognizant of the things they're doing. Most women center their thinking around themselves. They truly do. In relationships, go and speak to most women, right? Every time they break up with a guy, it's the guy's fault. Go ahead and ask most women. It's kind of crazy. It is. You'll speak to 100 women. Every woman will say, "Well, I didn't do anything. I just reacted." She was never the instigator. When you ask them, "Hey, how come it didn't work?" She'll tell you what the guy did. And if the guy, and you say, "Hey, if I was to ask your ex, why it didn't work out, what would he tell me, right?" And most women will say, "I don't know," right? They don't even know. They don't even know. Or if you ask them, "Hey, well, in the relationship, we know it's back and forth. How did you start, how did you instigate a situation that caused a fight?" Right? They'll say, "Well, I never caused any fight." That's what they'll do. You speak to most men. It's like a complete opposite. Right? Most men will say, "Yeah, you know what? I done screwed like 2 or 3 girls while I was with her. Yeah, she caught me, man. Yeah, she did. I don't blame her though. She caught me. Oh man, I was a drunk in that relationship, man. I was drinking like crazy. Yeah, she got rid of my drunk ass." This is how guys talk. They're very honest in a sense about things of this nature. Most of them are, right? There's some of them who think like women too, who will say, "Well, every woman I was with took advantage of me," right? There'll be those type of guys out there. But most of them will be honest like that. So I want folks to understand these type of things here. I want folks to, because it really breaks down the psychology of this. Now, I want you guys to take a look at this video, which is crazy. It has Senator Elizabeth Warren. She was stopped and she was asked why she looked so enraged about the quote-unquote draft opinion. Take a look at this.
Senator, if this is overturned, how much is this going to hurt the minority community as well?
It's just going to fall hardest on the most vulnerable women in our country.
I've never seen you so angry. You seem to be...
This is what the Republicans have been working towards.
You, as a leader, would stand for the dismemberment of minority communities and those of the world.
We love you. She can't even breathe. She can't even breathe. I want folks to understand how selfish these women are. They're not even caring about the unborn baby. Why should anybody care about a pregnancy if it could be erased just like this? I want people to understand the emotions behind this here. This is based upon her own selfish desire. I want people to understand it's a selfish desire. If she wants the child, everything's all good. Anything happened to her pregnancy, gosh darn it, it's a travesty. If she doesn't want the child, guess what? Nobody cares. How callous, in a sense, is that thinking? I want people to understand that. How callous is that? There's no morality behind there. It's a satanic mind. It's selfish. Not one time do you hear these women speak about the unborn baby. There's women who are killing their children at 3 months. Or all the way up to 9 months. They never speak about these things here. When you speak to a lot of the men that were raised by their mama, they'll tell you, well, I don't have a say-so. That's her body. Yeah, that's what the guys will say. They'll say, whatever she wants to do, I'll support her. Right? I'm not carrying the baby. I'll support her. Right? So we have a problem here. We certainly do. We certainly do. That's why I'm past betas. I'm past these type of lunatics. You have to be honest with these folks. You have to. You can see how flustered she is. She's over here rushing to the car, all sorts of dumb stuff. Because women won't have the right to kill something inside of their body. They won't even think about the unborn child. I want folks to understand that's how selfish it is. They never speak about the child that they're carrying. And I want the women to understand, why should anybody give a rip if you're pregnant? Seriously, why should anybody give a rip if you can, at a whim, get rid of the child? Right? I mean, why should anybody give a rip? It blows my mind. And we don't have people in the media who have, how can I say, who can think outside the box. You know, you got Republicans and liberals and conservatives out there that's still stuck on the quote unquote religious aspect. Get out of that. You have to hit them where it hurts. It's not beneficial to the mama for her to have an abortion. It's not. You know, women who have an abortion, a lot of times they're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs after that. Their brain chemistry, the emotional stability is all screwed up. You go ahead and ask women. You ask the men who've dated them. They don't have good relationships after that. All screwed up. Nobody's speaking about this. You know, it gets to a point where, you know, you just have to be honest. You have to. At some point, these women will come back to God. After languishing with Satan for so long, they'll come back. You know, some of them will. You know, a lot of them will stay with Satan. You know, if you want to look up paganism right now and what we call witches, Wicca has grown through the roof. It's one of the world's fastest growing religions right now, Wicca. I kid you not, I was just looking at a documentary about it. Fastest growing religion right now. And you know why? Feminism, liberalism, LGBTQism. Yeah. Witchcraft through the roof. Through the roof. And that's what happens when you take away God and you replace it with a false one. Let's go ahead and move forward. Let's go ahead and move forward. It's crazy. So and witchcraft right now is out in the open. Yeah, they got what is it called? Witch stores that are around here, especially Minneapolis. Minneapolis got witch stores wherever you look. You go, I kid you not. People are sleeping if you don't know. You don't know. When the family is destroyed, that's when all these type of influences come in. It's hard to run Satanism and witchcraft in a traditional family with a male-centered. It's hard to do that. But you can do that when the families are broken up. And when you have a population out there of women who hate men, witchcraft is the thing that they're doing. And especially a lot of black women. I want the black men to know that too, because there's a very big documentary going out showing black women doing witchcraft on men. Yeah, you'll sleep with her. She'll take maybe your hair. She'll take, part of your clothing. And then they have, black women have some sort of club, witch club, where they sit there and they throw hexes on you and stuff. I kid you not. I want the men to understand. You out there screwing with some crazy women out there, and you don't know why you just can't get rid of her. You wonder why you're always losing your money to her. I'm telling you, you better start looking out. Witchcraft is on the rise. Same with you white men out there. There's more white witches than the black ones. Absolutely. And they running hexes on you too. Absolutely. I wish I could find a documentary on some warlocks. I can't find them. Where are the warlocks and the wizards? Oh my goodness. It get to a point where it's hilarious. Let's go ahead and move forward. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you share. Yeah, Voodoo. Voodoo big too. New audio. Let's move. Let's move forward. Yeah, BLM was into voodoo too. Fat black lesbian women into voodoo. You better watch out, boy. A woman will throw a hex on you quick. Check up on my hair. Oh. Next one up. I want to go ahead and speak to you guys about some new audio that was released by the the New York Times. Man, let me tell you something. We thought it was bad before. It's really bad now. It is. Kevin McCarthy, ladies and gentlemen, we already knew he was a traitor, right? We roasted him when he lied and said, I never said those things, and gosh darn it, they played the audio. We knew he was cooked then. But let me tell you, he really cooked now. Kevin McCarthy, his days are numbered right now. They certainly are. And I kid you not, this is something serious you will want to hear, all right? Jake Tapper right now is licking his crusty lips. Yeah, his lips are real crusty right now, and he's licking them like he getting ready to eat a meal. Yeah, he's having a good time with this one, and I want you guys to hear this. Audio revealed that McCarthy never wanted that he wanted Trump removed after the insurrection. You guys are about to hear it. Some of y'all going to be really pissed off. I can tell you that. Really pissed off. Yeah, shout out to Cheryl. Yeah, the witches were trying to put were casting hexes on Trump too. When I showed actual videos of the witches doing it. And they actually had Tucker Carlson, he had a witch on that was talking about how they were casting hexes on Trump. Yeah, I told you, I'm telling you, woman will put a hex on you quick. Hit that like button, make sure you share. When this come back, hopefully all my hair is here. You know, ain't no hexes on, man. We can definitely run the rebuttal. Here we go. Make sure you share.
We have some breaking news for you on our politics lead now. Brand new recordings being revealed for the very first time of Republican House Leader Kevin McCarthy denouncing then-President Trump in some of the harshest language we have heard from McCarthy yet. The audio comes from just 2 days after the January 6th Capitol insurrection during a House Republican leadership call in which McCarthy called the president's actions, quote, atrocious and totally wrong, unquote, and expressed his desire to ensure a smooth transition to the Biden administration. The audio was obtained by New York Times national political correspondents Jonathan Martin and Alex Burns. Take a listen.
Yeah. Look, what the president did is atrocious and totally wrong. From the standpoint, we're 12 days away. I mean, the one point I'd make with Biden, if you have an impeachment and you're stuck sitting in the Senate and he needs cabinet members, you've got Secretary of Defense, you've got a lot of things that you've got to have moving. And if you think from a perspective, you put everything else away, this country is very, very divided. I do think the impeachment divides the nation further and continues to divide even greater. That's why I want to reach out to Biden. I wanted the president to meet with Biden. If that's not going to happen, I want to see about us meeting with Biden, sitting down, make a smooth transition, show that, and continue to keep those statements going. So hopefully, I know he's got to talk to Pelosi, but he's going to, hopefully he calls me today. And see if we can start that process.
Jonathan, take us through what...
Bow. You heard that, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so you see he's a traitor. He's a traitor. Mitch McConnell, a lot of these Republicans think like him. He's not one on. I want you to understand, with that fury and hate that you have right now, right? That anger. I want you to understand, don't you just use it on him. Most of the Republicans think like him that are elected. I want you to understand. Yes, they do. He's not one off. He's letting you know how they think. Remember when we said they're weak and feckless? Yeah, you hear a very weak man right here, right? Shout out to Sebastian Gorka. Remember I played what Sebastian Gorka said? He called him a weak and small man for this. And let me tell you something, that was very nice of him to, clean up that language. Shout out to Sebastian Gorka, but I ain't going to clean it up. That man is a traitor. He's a two-faced bitch. Two-faced bitch. That's what he is. He's two-faced. He'll say something that is appealing in front of your eyes, and when you turn around, he's saying something else. He's two-faced. He's not honest. He doesn't like Trump. He doesn't like you, ladies and gentlemen. He's there for the money. He's there for the power. That is it. Just like most of these rich Republicans. I want you to understand. That's why they don't like Marjorie Taylor Greene, because she doesn't come from their category. They don't like certain folks because guess what? They're not coming from the same country club. Right? The same secret society, the same private Ivy League school. I want people to understand that. And then you can see here, when you see the Republicans like Kevin McCarthy stand up and they're trying to roast, Pelosi and all these other Democrats, you start seeing the behind-the-scenes talk. And the behind-the-scenes talk is that these folks are just friends. Right? They play a nice show in front of the crowd, right? In front of America. Right? Hey, Nancy Pelosi is she's a liberal. She's a socialist. I can't believe she's doing this. She's making communist, all sorts of dumb rhetoric that is being spewed. And then after they get off of the podium, right, they put on their crusty ass, dusty ass loafers. And they're sitting there speaking to the other side like they're friends. Hey, how you doing, Nancy? Yeah, it's Kevin. Yeah, you know Trump crazy. Yeah, did you get my gift I sent you the other day? This is the way they talking. Right? That's the way they're talking. It lets you know how the politics are. A lot of them are playing that game. The game suits them. Do you understand? That's why we say they're the same arm of a bird. They're the same arm of the government. There's no distinction between them. The Republicans are just, socialist light. That's it. Because if Kevin McCarthy was a true blue conservative, he would not even make these type of statements. I want you to understand. It would be against his nature if he was a true blue conservative, if he was a real deal Republican who has morals and convictions. There would be no way he could make this statement on a sitting president. No way. But he's able to make this because he's not a genuine guy. And most of them, they're not genuine. And I told you this. They appear, they talk. All you got to do is look at their actions. They talk a lot of game, no legislation. That lets you know they're like pimps and players. Remember that? I said this a long time ago. I need to bring back that rhetoric. Republicans are like pimps and players. They talk a good game, but there's no legislation being backed up. None. Most of the time, nothing. I want to go ahead here and give a shout out to my guy RC. RC donated, took our challenge. Shout out to RC, brother RC. Shout out to you. Absolutely. There you go. Pimps and players. Because Kevin McCarthy was saying all this jazz, let alone he's just like Liz Cheney. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, I respect Liz Cheney more than Kevin McCarthy. I do. As a matter of fact, I respect what's that? Dusty Crusty Mitch. Mitch McConnell at least been honest. Mitch McConnell don't like Trump like that. Dusty Crusty, he's been honest. Even at the end, he waited to be honest. Dusty Crusty's been honest. He never liked Trump in the beginning. He never liked Trump. I don't know why Trump even picked him. He never liked him. Yeah, I respect Dusty Crusty because Dusty Crusty been honest. Mitch McConnell, I can't respect you because you're not honest. Liz Cheney, she was honest. She was honest about the way she felt. And she told her mind her piece. I respect that. I respect her more than any Republican who's playing that game. Liz Cheney has been honest. Regardless of how much you dislike her. Right? She got hell from the Republicans because she was honest with herself. I respect that. Right? Even though I roasted her and I said, you cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs now. Yeah. Right? I respect that. I don't respect people who are like Kevin McCarthy because he lied when he was caught up. He was caught up. Let me tell you, he was caught up. Now, I want you guys to take a look at a little bit of this analysis. And we're going to wrap this segment up. Make sure you share.
What's happening in this meeting and the context around McCarthy's comments?
So in this moment, McCarthy is trying desperately to connect with the incoming president, Joe Biden. McCarthy is sort of panicked about the prospect of more political violence in the country, and he's grappling with what to do about President Trump and how to hold him accountable and minimize the political risk that he thinks President Trump now presents to him and his party. And we chronicle in this book from this moment really forward how Kevin McCarthy got from that hard line that you just heard, atrocious and totally wrong, he calls Donald Trump, to by the end of the month, Jake, being back at Mar-a-Lago with the former president.
Yeah, and Alex, you have another recording where an aide on the call details how the 25th Amendment to the Constitution works. For those who somehow have made it to this moment without learning this, that's the amendment for 2/3 of the cabinet to remove a president perceived as being incapacitated. It's been brought up throughout the Trump presidency. We hear McCarthy discuss this and dismiss it as a possibility, but it's interesting as to why he dismisses it. Let's take a listen.
I think the options that have been cited by the Democrats so far are the 25th Amendment, which is not exactly an elegant solution here.
That takes too long, too. It could go back to the House, right?
That takes too long.
And let me stop it right there. So you guys hear Kevin McCarthy on that one, too. Kevin McCarthy is working with the Democrats to figure out how to remove Trump. The majority leader, Kevin McCarthy, I want you to understand how treacherous this is. I don't know if Trump heard this or not because I have no idea why he's acting so cool. I don't think Trump has heard how treacherous this is. He's working with the Democrats of ways to remove Trump. Let's play it again. This is his own words, right? It's not me making conjecture or whatever. This is his own words. Let's just listen to it plainly.
Let's take a listen.
I think the options that have been cited by the Democrats so far are the 25th Amendment, which is not exactly an elegant solution here.
That takes too long, too. It could go back to the House, right?
There you go.
That takes too long. The audio shows the 25th Amendment was under serious consideration, Alex.
Takes too long. So they were thinking of ways to get Trump out of there as fast as possible. Do you understand? As fast as possible. So you start seeing what it is. Kevin McCarthy, ladies and gentlemen, he is a traitor. And his line of thinking, once more again, because I don't want folks to think that somehow it's just him. His line of thinking is most Republicans that are elected right now in office. Most of them, not all, but most, think like that. And I want you to let that sink in. Because while you're throwing campaign donations to the senators who are up for re-election, the folks that are placating, this is where you're supposed to ask very crucial questions of these candidates. This is where you hit them with the Trump questions. You have to have them commit. Because it's very easy for them to act like they are, and then when they get in office, change just like Kevin McCarthy. I'm letting you know that. And a lot of the times, the richer they are, the more they don't care about you. And I want folks to understand that. I know it hurt a lot of folks feeling to hear that. I know it do. I'm a very honest guy, though. I'm letting you know I met a lot of them. And they really don't care. They don't. That's why I'm for hiring regular folks. Because regular folks know more about life than a lot of rich folks who have been just handed a silver platter. And I want people to understand how politics are in this country. Right? We speak about the oligarchs in Europe. Well, we have American oligarchs as well, right? We have families that have been in politics for centuries in this country. The politics club, right? Even though you see some of these magnetic candidates that are unusual, coming from different places, the majority of them, ladies and gentlemen, are recycled from different families. That's it. Right? It's kind of like the Romans. If you know anything about the Romans, right? You know that a lot of the senators, for you to become a senator, for you to be in politics, you have to come from one of the aristocratic families. You understand? A regular poor man can't just hop into politics. Even if he has money, go ahead and research it. Even in Roman time, even if you had money, you're a rich businessman. If you didn't marry a gosh darn senator's daughter, you didn't screw a gosh darn senator's daughter, you're not getting in. You could have as much money in the world, and you couldn't get in. And that's how most politics are. And most folks aren't being honest about it. Moving forward. Last but not least, I need to speak to you about Biden and how bad he's doing. Biden's doing really bad. He is. Democrats are even saying he's doing bad. There was a poll taken, and CNN is speaking about this poll. A majority of Americans say that Biden's policies are hurting America. And it has gotten worse since he has taken hold. I want you guys to take a look at this. Here we go.
Two things sure stand out in this new poll. One, the economy, a top priority. And two, Americans disapprove of President Biden's handling of this more than ever before.
Yeah, and those two things together spell a tough political environment for Democrats, the president and his party. Take a look here. Most important issue, it's by far, Jake, 50% of people in this poll say the economy is the most important issue facing the country. Russia-Ukraine war at 14%, immigration at 10%. Everything else in single digits. We should note this poll was completed just before that bombshell news from the Supreme Court on abortion. Biden's handling of that number one issue only at a 34% approval rating on the economy, 66% disapprove. And that number there, Jake, that's been going down since our poll earlier this year. He was at 37% approval on the economy. Now he's down to 34%. And in terms of Biden's policies, look at this. A majority of Americans in this poll, 55%, say Biden's policies have actually worsened economic conditions. 26% no effect. Only 19% of Americans in this poll say Biden's policies have improved conditions, Jake.
And David, because of the economy, more Americans say they are buying less, according to the poll.
Yeah, we talk about this all the time. The economy is how people feel it in their everyday lives. Look at this. 63% of respondents say they're buying fewer groceries. Same say they've cut non-essentials out of their lives. 55%, a majority, delaying purchases. 54% cutting back on driving. You can see how Americans, majority of Americans, have changed the way they operate day to day because of inflation.
What about the president's overall job performance? Where does he stand there?
Yeah, I mean, these economic numbers are keeping his approval rating where it's been, which is a low 40s here. 41% approval in our poll, 59% disapproval.
What do you got to think about this?
Harbor Freight Tours is your destination.
What do you think? Ain't this crazy? It's absolute craziness. It really is. All the quote-unquote 81 million votes. And this is what's going on. Anybody who voted for Biden needs to pay extra in taxes. They need to. I want you guys to take a look at this one here. MSNBC talking bad about Democrats too. Take a look.
But now you got two states where you got Republican turnout up near 30%. You got two states where the Democratic turnout is just not tracking with that relative to 2018. So again, North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, these states coming up. Let's see if this becomes a pattern.
And Steve, you could stretch it back to November of last year, when we saw disparities in turnout on the right and the left in certain base constituencies, both in Virginia and New Jersey.
South Jersey, was the Republican area, the core Republican area in South Jersey where that red wave really hit. The turnout dwarfed
base constituencies, both in Virginia and New Jersey.
South Jersey, was the Republican area, the core Republican area in South Jersey where that red wave really hit. The turnout dwarfed what you saw in North Jersey, which is the reason that was a 3-point race. Republican enthusiasm.
Yep, and we've seen it in our polling. You're starting to see it here again.
Right here. Republican enthusiasm. What do you got to think about this? What do you think? Told you. I told you. When it comes down to it, it's very simple. Very simple. Very simple. The woke crap is pushing folks away. All the women first crap that they talk about, all the gender stuff that they're talking about, all sorts of dumb stuff that they're talking about has moved people away. It has. And it's a shame that it's doing this right now. Had people just used common sense, listen to what these people are putting out, they would have never voted for this. And let me tell you something, people are so crazy. They'll go vote for another Democrat spewing the same lies. Well, we need Hillary instead. Craziness. No matter what Democrat is in there, you're going to get these results because that is their philosophy. That is their cup of tea. It is. So I wanted folks to see this. I wanted you guys to see it for what it's worth. Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for tonight. I want to thank everybody and their mama's mama for coming out, hanging out with us. Really do appreciate it. I'll be on tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central. So come and hang out with us while we give you guys the good news, all right? So that's what it is. I want to thank everybody for hitting that like button, everybody for sharing, and everybody for donating. I really do. Absolutely. So that's what it is. You guys take care. Have a very beautiful night. And I'll catch you guys here later with another edition of Conservative Nation.